morning, everybody. Welcome to the IMAX Theatre today. My name is Peter Saffin. I'm the CEO of the Mathematical Association of Victoria. I'm very pleased to be back with you for this Maths Talent Quest Awards ceremony. It's been, this is 2 years that we've had a virtual ceremony, so we're so happy to welcome you back. It was really hard to know this morning, leaving home, what to do, and I did wear pants. And when I got in the car and still had my Zoom headset on, I was a bit concerned I was capable of actually getting back here and making this run properly. I'd like to start with a welcome to country. The Mathematical Association of Victoria, the Department of Education and Training, Museums Victoria and IMAX acknowledge the Woi Wurrung, Wurundjeri and Boon Wurrung peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nations where we work. We acknowledge the First Peoples language groups and communities across Victoria and Australia. And we acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who continue to contribute to the work of improving Indigenous learning, education and research. On behalf of MAV and the Student Activities Committee, I'd like to welcome you to the Victorian State Maths Talent Quest and Financial Literacy in Practice Challenge Award Ceremony. That's a big mouthful to get through. We have an awards booklet for today, which I think your schools would have received a link to. But if you'd like to scan that QR code in the next minute or so before I move on, please do. You'll be able to see that booklet, which lists all of the award winners for today. I'd like to welcome our special guests. We have Karen Sanford, who is the MAV President, who is here today and also Principal of Heathmont High School, Secondary College it's called now, which is actually where I went to secondary school. Samantha Cunningham, Manager of Learning Design and Innovation at the Department of Education and Training. Stephanie Grima, Policy and Project Officer in the Learning and Teaching Division at the Victorian Department of Education and Training. And Dr. Carly Sawatsky, Senior Lecturer in Mathematics and Humanities Education at Deakin Uni. She's also a member of the Centre for Research for Educational Impact. So welcome today and thank you for coming along to support these awards. The Maths Talent Quest is a very important part of our program. It's one of our major components of the Student Activities program, and it promotes mathematics across the curriculum, provides students with an opportunity to apply their knowledge of mathematics to a diverse range of topics. The MTQ encourages students to think deeply about mathematics and to apply it to everyday contexts, and it is open to all primary and secondary students. The MTQ allows students to investigate mathematics as an individual, in a group or class, and it provides the chance to have fun, to see mathematics in everyday real-life situations, and to receive recognition in the process. All entrants receive a certificate, and that includes those not here today, and the entries that receive high distinctions at the state competition are judged separately. One entry from each category is then forwarded to judging for the National Maths Talent Quest, which this year was hosted by the Mathematical Association of South Australia. So today we'll be focusing mainly on presenting awards for high distinctions, but be aware that there are many other students who have participated and received awards as well. The MTQ is now in its 40th year, so we've been doing this a long time, and it's firmly established itself as a major feature of the mathematics calendar. This year, in 2022, the Minister for Education sponsored the new Financial Literacy in Practice, or the FLIP Challenge. The FLIP Challenge brings a practical, real-world focus to financial literacy education to the classroom, and is open to all Victorian primary and secondary students as part of the Maths Talent Quest. MAV would like to thank the department for its support in this new initiative that has brought some new ideas, has helped us raise the bar for delivery of the Maths Talent Quest, producing a number of new resources to support schools in the Maths Talent Quest, but also in the delivery of financial literacy within their school context. I'd also like to thank all those who have helped run the Maths Talent Quest and provide our appreciation for their assistance and the participation of all students. That includes teachers, parents, volunteers, sponsors, state associations, and the Australian Association of Mathematics Teachers. We'd particularly like to thank all the judges who volunteer their time to judge every entry into the Maths Talent Quest. Every entry is judged 3 times to ensure consistency and a thorough approach. This year, the Maths Talent Quest involved over 400 investigations from 50 schools being entered into judging. So it's a significant amount of work for our judges. Each investigation was judged 3 times, as I mentioned, but on top of that, many more entries are judged at the school level before they are put forward for the awards. Today, the ceremony will start with the Flip Challenge Awards, sponsored by the Department of Education, followed by the Victorian High Distinction Awards, the National MTQ Awards, and finally some special awards including the Jim Trotter Award and the Outstanding Schools Award. So firstly, to kick off, I'd like to ask Samantha Cunningham to the stage. Samantha is the Manager of the Learning Design and Innovation in the Learning and Teaching Division of the Victorian Department of Education. Samantha will say a few words and then help present the Minister for Education's Financial Literacy in Practice Awards. Thanks, Samantha.
Thanks, Peter. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to be here representing the Department of Education and Training today. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I extend my respects to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today, and I recognise their ongoing custodianship of the lands and waters. In March this year, the former Minister for Education, the Honourable Mr James Merlino MP, announced the creation of the Financial Literacy in Practice, or FLIP Challenge, to provide students in Victorian schools an opportunity to investigate interesting, real-world financial literacy problems and questions. The Department of Education and Training, who I represent and work at, recognises the importance of financial literacy and good financial decision-making for Victorian students, and the positive impact that being financially literate can have throughout students' lives. Therefore, the department was pleased to sponsor the Financial Literacy in Practice, or FLIP Challenge, as part of the MAV's Maths Talent Quest. I was really excited to see the number and range of entries that MAV received for the FLIP Challenge. We had, I think, over 1,000 entries, which was a lot more than we actually expected, so we're really excited by that. And there was a huge and really interesting range of topics that students selected to investigate. These included mathematical modelling to predict the future cost of living, ways to reduce the cost of household bills and living expenses, and I think we all really probably need to read that one and find out how to do that, to investigate the costs of cooking compared to buying food out, and budgeting for holidays and special events. There really was a broad range of topics. It was really interesting to see. I'd really like to congratulate everybody who's here today, as well as all the students across Victoria who participated in the FLIP Challenge as part of the Maths Talent Quest, on your efforts and achievements and the growth that you've made in your learning. As a teacher, I was a teacher for 15 years, and seeing that growth in understanding and in skills, it's really exciting to see. I know the FLIP Challenge has helped you to formulate big questions, to make and test hypotheses, to collect and analyse data, and to explain and justify your results, which is actually part of the really important bit of doing these kind of things, being able to explain it and convince other people. These are skills that will help you to succeed in life, both now at school and later as an adult. So I'm really pleased to help present the awards for the winners of the FLIP Challenge on behalf of the Minister for Education, who is now the Honourable Natalie Hutchins MP. So thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Now, as we move on to the next section of the awards, I'd like to welcome Dr. Carly Sawatsky to the stage. Dr. Carly Sawatsky is a teacher, educator and educational researcher with a particular interest in teaching mathematics through real-world economic and financial contexts. Carly is internationally recognised for her financial capability research in primary and secondary schools in settings in Australia and New Zealand. She has published in prestigious journals and led curriculum and research consultancies for Australian government agencies, teacher associations and schools. The focus of Carly's work is students and their learning, hence the work she enjoys most occurs in schools researching, coaching and learning from teachers and their students.
Thanks, Peter. One of the delights of my work is having the opportunity to meet and learn from young people in schools. So for me, it is such a privilege to be here today celebrating the wonderful projects that you put together as part of the Mathematics Talent Quest. And I'm particularly excited by the opportunity this year for you to apply your learning in mathematics to financial contexts. I want to share a story about my friend Archie. My friend Archie is a collector of basketball cards. Are there any basketballers in the house? Fantastic. So I'm anticipating that maybe you're looking at these photographs of basketball cards and maybe you've got some thoughts on whether they hold value or not. Does anyone feel brave enough to let me know if you've got some thoughts about these cards? Any reactions to what you see? There's a hand up. Wonderful. Tell me what you think. They reflect the value of the basketball players. Outstanding thinking. I enjoy your thinking and I thank you for being a small voice, but a very insightful one in a very big room. So I want to tell you about Archie's experiences with these cards. So on your left, we have the front and back of Keldon Johnson's card. Now, Archie purchased these at a trade fair. He was given the opportunity to sort through a stack of cards and choose as many as he wanted for 50 cents. Now, because Archie knows his stuff, he immediately recognised the value of this card. This is a limited edition print and he was able to sell it the following week for $50. So he bought it for 50 cents and he resold it for $50. He multiplied his initial investment by 100. The gold card, the James Wiseman card, is another really interesting story. He traded this by negotiating with quite an experienced adult collector. And he traded it for a card that he'd purchased on eBay for around about $35. So that gives you a little bit of an indication of the value of that card. 12 months later, only recently, Archie resold that card for $300. Young people, I'd like you to talk to the person next to you about this story, particularly if you are sitting next to an adult. What do you think about Archie's experience buying and selling cards? Does anyone feel brave enough to share their reaction? Over here. Every time he buys a card, he has the opportunity to earn more. Yeah, fantastic. What are other people thinking? I saw some more hands up in the red t-shirt in the middle there. He's quite smart because he was patient. He waited for that asset to what we call appreciate in value, grow in value, and he was able to earn some money. We could go on. I've used this story to highlight a really important point to the adults in the room. Young people bring strengths and resources to their learning, and we must climb a steep learning curve as their educators if we are to find them. I want to share with you now that Archie is 9 years old and in grade 4. And I recently had a conversation with him about how he could potentially put together a spreadsheet where he started to record his purchases and his sales and use mathematics to start to understand what is essentially his first investment portfolio. Based on that conversation, he asked me, did I know anything about crypto and NFTs? And let me tell you, I'm on a steep learning curve there too. But what we were able to do was take a look at some market graphs and have a look at what's been happening with the price of Bitcoin and talk about it in relation to Archie's basketball card collection. As educators, we have a big chasm to cross because what it means to be financially capable is changing. And young people are living in a complex economic and financial world, and they need us to catch up with them and to prepare them to navigate their financial matters with confidence. And that means being able to do mathematics, but it also means being able to navigate complex matters that are invisible and that often take place via digital platforms and that are often really risky as well. I'm really enthusiastic about this year's initiative. It's been wonderful to have the opportunity to work together with the Mathematical Association of Victoria, my wonderful colleagues Peter Saffin and Jen Bowden in particular. And I congratulate the Department of Education and Training Victoria for really leading in this space and being prepared to invest in an initiative that has the potential to make such a difference to young people and their learning. So my congratulations to everyone here today, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to thank Carly for all of her handing out of all of those awards. Thank you very much. And we are through all of those high distinctions. So a big round of applause to all of our winners. Amazing to see the topics that students are covering, even at very young ages. And as Carly was mentioning, really tapping into the education of our students based on their interests and things that they want to know about is really important and a really strong part of the Maths Talent Quest. We are now going to recognise our National Award winners in just a few minutes. Before we do, we have a message here from the President of the Australian Association of Mathematics Teachers, who are responsible for the National Awards.
Hi, my name is Alan Dugan. I'm CEO of the Australian Association of Mathematics Teachers, and I'm really excited to join you today for the National Mathematics Talent Quest competition results. The National Mathematics Talent Quest competition is one of my favourite events on the calendar because it's a real opportunity for us to explore the purpose, the reason, the application of maths. Every young person submits a investigation that they have worked through on a real life problem, and it goes through a really rigorous process. And for me, as someone that's really passionate about maths education, that excites me because it shows the importance and the relevance of maths. You know, as a maths teacher myself, I so often hear people say that they're not good at maths, or maths isn't relevant, or asking that question. Maybe you've asked it in school yourself: when will I use this? Why is this important? And you know, for me, National Maths Talent Quest competition is a real opportunity to prove where maths is used and why it's used. Recently, I've been doing a little bit of personal research on the history of education and just some of the trends and theories that have come about over the years. And I want to read you a really brief quote and unpack it a little bit from someone called John Dewey. Some of you might have heard of him. He wrote a number of articles and books, but the one that I'm referring to comes from 1934, and it was written. It's called Individual Psychology in Education. And you might think 1934, long time ago, it's not relevant, but he said back then, any education is, in its forms and method, an outgrowth of the needs of the society in which it exists. Sounds really complicated, but what he's saying in that sentence there is that the purpose of education, the reason that we learn, the reason that we keep learning, is to solve problems that we don't know currently exist, to go on and help and serve society and the world that we live in, to solve problems that we don't know exist. I think COVID-19 is a really prime example of that, where we didn't know that we were going to have a pandemic, and we didn't know the challenges that were going to come our way. And the role of mathematics and science and a whole host of other industries to solve that problem was about the outgrowth, the education, and therefore the serving of it. And you know, through National Mathematics Talent Quest investigations and the process of this competition, there's a real opportunity to develop problem-solving skills, to build creativity, to look at analysing things critically, to approach teamwork maybe in a new way, to think independently, but then figure out how to communicate that, to talk about it, to maximise the opportunity of digital literacy, to take some initiative, to figure out how we might bring new ideas to a problem that we need to solve. And the reality is that, as I said, is ultimately the purpose of education. And so I get excited to see the innovation. I get excited to see the creativity that happens each year around National Mathematics Talent Quest investigations and submissions. And so I just want to congratulate everyone. I want to thank you for taking part. I think it's a great opportunity to get involved, not just at a state level, but at a national level in a national competition. And here at AAMT, we're committed to this competition. We really believe in it for all the reasons that I've just spoken about, but we couldn't organise it, we couldn't run it without you participating, without your schools encouraging you and giving you the space to submit. So to the schools that are watching, to the teachers, to the heads of faculty, to the heads of learning areas, thank you for being committed to this. We really think it has value. I also really need to extend a thanks on behalf of you and on behalf of everyone else to the Mathematical Association of South Australia, who have organised and administered the competition this year. I want to express my personal heartfelt thanks to the team down in Adelaide and beyond, who have worked tirelessly to make this happen, and I want you to know that that's appreciated. And so The last thanks or the last congratulations has to go to everyone watching. Well done on the hard work, well done on the submissions, well done on the creative and innovative thinking. Keep getting excited about maths and the role it can play in society and life beyond school. Congratulations to everyone. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the prize winners in a little while. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. In each state of Australia, we can enter from our entries in the Victorian Awards, one entry in each category to participate in the National Maths Talent Quest Awards. This year we had judges from each state who deliberated over each of the entries. Not all categories received a winner, some categories received a highly commended. All Victorian entries that went forward to national judging will soon be acknowledged here today. To help with this, I'd like to invite Karen Sandford to the stage, who I've known for a number of years working on projects in the Department of Education, who's now a principal at Heathmont Secondary College, and lucky for us is our MAV president on the board. So welcome, Karen.
So good morning, everybody. It's an absolute privilege to be here today to present these national awards. I too would like to start though by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we're meeting and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect also to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who are with us here today. The Maths Talent Quest creates important opportunities for students to engage positively and creatively with mathematics in real life contexts. Through providing students with choice as to what and how they investigate maths, maths becomes meaningful. The challenge provided by having to reason, justify and critically evaluate thinking and then communicate this thinking to an audience also supports the development of many 21st century skills that can be applied across the years, across disciplines, fields of work and all other aspects of life. Students working in this way, collaborating with peers and teachers to achieve a common and co-constructed goal, helps to develop positive dispositions and mindsets about mathematics and learning that can carry audiences as students through the challenges that they may face in the classroom and beyond. Alan spoke a little bit about that in his address as well. It helps to build learning confidence and resilience, which is something that we all know is extremely important for learning success. I'd like to thank the Department of Education for supporting the MTQ and providing the focus on financial literacy, which I think we can all agree is especially important for life beyond school. And it's also something that we know that young people are increasingly very keen to learn more about. We are pleased to see so many parents, educators and others here today to help celebrate the experiences of these young people. And I thank you for your support, or the support you have provided to the running of the MTQ through the support you're providing for your children. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge all of the students who have worked on the MTQ and FLIP projects this year, not just those here today to receive awards, but the thousands of students who have completed projects at their schools across the country. And lastly, I'd also like to thank and sincerely acknowledge the many teachers and educators who diligently support and encourage their students to engage with this program and others like it. Even through COVID, many educators have stuck with the MTQ, which shows their recognition of the importance of these experiences for students. It is important to recognise the vital role that teachers and educators play in lighting the spark for learning and providing the opportunity for students to engage with programs such as the MTQ. I would like to also congratulate all of the young people here today on their achievements in this program, and like Alan, I would like to encourage you all to keep being excited about maths. Well done.
Thanks, Karen. So we're going to recognise our national award entries. So they'll be either classed as a highly commended based on the judging at the national level, or a winner, or a participation in some cases. But either way, these are the most outstanding of our Victorian entries. And so this is a fantastic recognition. We have a small number of special awards to finish off our ceremony today. Thank you again for your patience and your support. I now welcome Jen Bowden to the stage. Jen is one of our staff at MAV. She's a primary education consultant and leading teacher, educator, presenter, coach, mentor, working in various primary schools across Victoria and running the Maths Talent Quest for us as well. I've worked with Jen for a number of years now and she's a superstar. So can we give a round of applause to Jen for all of her work? She does lead the work on the Maths Talent Quest alongside Helen Paralambis, one of our secondary education consultants, who helps Jen along with the secondary school component and judging and other aspects as well. So, our Jim Trotter Award. The Jim Trotter Perpetual Award is dedicated to the memory of Jim Trotter, who passed away on December the 11th, 1999. Jim was an active member of MAV's Student Activities Committee for a number of years and was highly committed to energising both staff and students in interesting approaches in mathematics, and in particular the Maths Talent Quest. The award is presented annually to the best upper primary entry that shows an outstanding investigation with real-life applications. And this year's winner is Ashley Tran, UV exposure in my daily sporting activities, and Ashley is from Penley and Essendon Grammar School. Congratulations, Ashley. And our final awards are to our Outstanding Schools Awards. And these are for a number of schools that participate deeply in the Maths Talent Quest. It may mean a whole school approach where whole year levels or even the entire school is participating. And we saw some of those today where we have a number of entries from those schools that really get stuck into it. Congratulations to the following high-performing schools in the Maths Talent Quest. Thank you again. Thank you for attending the 2022 Maths Talent Quest and Flip Awards. We hope that you will all be back next year in force in your schools doing more work on the Maths Talent Quest. Thank you to all of those who entered, and I particularly thank all of our students today for your patience and cooperation with the ceremony. It is a logistical challenge to keep you all moving through, so thanks to everyone for their patience and work there. You're welcome to stay around in the foyer near the candy bar for photos, either with our photographer or your own, and to enjoy a snack on your way out. We look forward to seeing you next year with many more inspiring activities. Thanks again.
So our investigation, we wanted to find out whether Port Melbourne was a polluted suburb. So we measured all the litter in Port Melbourne, air pollution, water pollution and land pollution. Then we compared it with each other and found a result.
Like what I did is I did the soil pollution, and when I did the soil pollution, I literally went around Port Melbourne cleaning up rubbish and counting it for each street. Then I did the average of how much rubbish there was per square kilometre, and then I estimated how much rubbish was there in Port Melbourne. And then once I did all my calculations and figured it out with all the areas and pollution in it, I then looked all around the world to compare our rubbish rate to everyone else in the world rubbish rate. They're about the same as our size.
Pretty similar with my investigations too. I had air and water pollution, so I compared the air pollution. I found this website where it showed the air quality for the last month, and we added all the average up with Port Melbourne compared to the rest of the major cities around Australia. Then for water, we did the same thing. I found a website, we compared it for the last one.
At the end of our conclusion, we found out that Port Melbourne is actually better than some countries, but worse than some countries, and it sort of like lands flat in the middle. So our conclusion was we were growing up in a polluted paradise.
Australia, we were pretty dirty compared to Australia, but the rest of the world, we looked alright. So, polluted dumpster.
That do scarecrows actually scare away birds? We had to put the scarecrows in the garden, and we had to work out if the scarecrows scared away the birds.
Our mathematics investigation was about the effects on Australia if we all switched to using second-hand clothing for a year.
So we researched the financial effects and also the environmental effects, so the waste saved from entering the environment.
So our topic was the future of robots, and we essentially looked at the economic and financial impacts that robots would have on the world, and we thought it was important to investigate as robots are becoming a big part of our society every day. We thought it was important to understand what they can do and understand how we can benefit or maybe not benefit from them and how much money we make or lose from them.
Well, my topic was what type of cricket player I should become, and I was basing it on my height. So I thought I would become a pace bowler, which is fast, but really it said I should be a medium pacer, which is a bit less fast, but not like slow. And so tall people usually become fast bowlers, and I'm very tall for my age, so it surprised me I would become a medium pacer.
What surprised me really was, especially when I researched about quadratics, that you could find two different equations for generally the same one. So I used two different equations in my quadratic. I don't really remember this one very well, but it had to do with the loan of a household and how much loan you pay over time. You could use two different variables to figure out two different equations, and I found that pretty fascinating.
What I would say to students to complete an investigation next year would be to choose a topic that they're interested or passionate about. This way it will make the investigation a lot more fun. And although you have to put a lot of effort into the investigation, it's always worth it in the end. You're also able to apply a mathematical concept into your everyday life.
I would encourage them to do it because it's not just boring classroom maths, it's a good thing to do. And I would encourage them because it's really fun.
I think over the last couple of years that we've been part of MTQ, the enthusiasm by the kids to really push themselves to, think outside the square. I've been really impressed with the whole range of topics that they've been willing to investigate, and always their enthusiasm and collaboration in MTQ just makes it really inspiring to want to come back year after year.
Viewbank College has been an active participant of MTQ since time immemorial, and the students have brought back big accolades all the time, the way they got it this time. So that's the biggest inspiration for us. And other thing is it gives our students an opportunity to work outside the curriculum, which is quite exciting.
It was an amazing opportunity for our kids to see how much mathematics can be useful in real life situations, because usually we just use textbooks and other tasks, so it's a practical opportunity which they benefited from.